Oh my God. I'm here to rock your world. Today's episode is going to blow your mind. Are you awake? Wake up. Are you ready?
Take a deep breath and smile. Enjoy life today. Yesterday's gone, and tomorrow may never come.
In the morning when I wake and the sun is coming through.
Hey people, how's it going? I hope you're having a great day. Today was the day that asteroid is supposed to fly by, and we're still here. So that's a good thing, right? Anyway, it's going to rain, so I had to do my video in the car again. But that's the way it goes in the month of April, right? We're right at the end, so thank goodness for that. Anyway, in today's episode, what I'm going to do is I had put together some clips that I want you to look at. It's things that's happened while you wasn't looking. You know, all over the world. I mean, it's things that you should have been seeing on the news, but evidently, Kramer says hey, but evidently the news is just stuck on one or two things. They're either talking about Trump, or they're talking about Corona, or they're talking about Pelosi, who I don't even like to say her name, but anyway. I hope your day's going good, like I said before. And if it ain't, you need to do something about that. But we made it through the asteroid okay. So, that's a sign of hope, right? It's going to be a lot of things going to be different. A lot of things changing, you know. We just got to roll with the punches, right? Anyway, check out the things I've added to this video. Going to blow your mind. And I hope you liked the video I did of John. So that was pretty interesting. I start my next disciple probably tomorrow or the next day. I take breaks in between each disciple, you know. There's just been so much going on here lately, and I'm going to add there's some clips of some people in here talking, and that's things also that's going on that you should know about, if you know what I mean. You're welcome to research them too online. So anyway, I'm gonna hop off here and let you enjoy what I've put together. And I love you people. I really do. I wanted to tell you too, as soon as the weather clears and I get to okay, but with my niece, we're going to still go, and my sister-in-law, we're going to go to the Laurel Run. We're going to hike up through there, and I will video it. So that's going to be like an adventure for us. Okay, I'm looking forward to that. If the weather will ever straighten out, you know, everything's hectic right now. I tell you what, let me tell you this much. They did up in New York, where they opened up parts of their government. I mean, they opened New York where people could get back out and stuff. They had these flybys by the Blue Angels to celebrate all the heroes, the nurses, the doctors that was fighting Corona. But while they was doing all that, everybody that was out there watching the Blue Angels was standing side by side. They wasn't doing social distancing. And I seen that and I thought, oh my God. I mean, it's just going to come. If that Corona thing comes back, it'll come back with a vengeance. Major vengeance. So, I mean, everybody needs to still be careful with the social distancing and all that. I'm serious. Because people's always going to have germs, you know. Look at it this way. You go up to somebody. Now, everybody's got germs. You just got to figure out which one is worth dying for, which person is worth dying for. If you want to hug them, you know what I'm saying? I know, shut up, Dana, right? Hey, I also added a couple clips about the 5G tower. You need to research that on your own. Because I found out why they are disguising them. They put out radiation at a real high frequency. I can't say that word. To the point where it can kill trees. If it can kill a tree, it can kill us. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, it says that in that little clip. You'll see what I'm saying. But look all that up. There's so much going on that you won't hear about on TV. You won't hear about it on the news. I mean, you know, you got to try other outlets too. This world's flipped upside down, people, I'm telling you. But it's gonna get worse. But we got it, right? According to the Bible, it's just gonna keep getting worse. But the main thing is we got to be strong. We can just keep putting one foot in front of the other, okay? Anyway, check out the video. And try and stay out of trouble. And try not to be so mean, if you can. Tell your significant other that you love them. Tell your family you love them. You never know. We may not be here tomorrow. Anyway, I plan on it if I can. But, you know, Big Daddy shows up, I'm out of here. I'm just saying. Love you. Each and every one of you. I love you.
2020 has brought some new disaster. Hopefully, things start going back to normal soon. But there's always a chance that 2020 will continue to outdo itself with each passing month. What could we expect for April? Will Terminators come back from the future to enslave humanity? Will aliens arrive to farm us for food? Actually, it turns out that if there is any movie April of 2020 could take note from, it's Armageddon. A huge asteroid will fly by Earth on April 29th, 2020. The space rock, which is officially named Asteroid 52768, is approximately 4 kilometers wide, making it about half the size of Mount Everest. It's so massive that the Center for Near-Earth Object Studies labeled it as a potentially hazardous object. It is a substantial piece of rock, especially when considering that average asteroids only measure a few feet in diameter. Will this be the icing on the cake for 2020? Will humanity go out like the dinosaurs? Let's find out. Asteroid 52768 was actually discovered back in 1998. Researchers have kept an eye on it over the last few decades, and it will be making its next approach to our planet later this year. So, what would happen if the asteroid were to make contact? Research suggests that if an asteroid is at least 1 kilometer in diameter, then it will cause a level of destruction that is incomparable to any human-made weapon. And remember, this asteroid is 4 kilometers in diameter. Society would know immediately if a world-ending asteroid was imminent. People would be able to see the asteroid approaching even during the daytime. Reverberations could be felt all over the planet. The asteroid would be so hot when it entered the atmosphere that forest fires would spontaneously occur. Many people would instantly lose their lives from essentially being cooked alive by the intense heat now emanating throughout the atmosphere. If the asteroid hit a mass of land, it would throw up enough debris and dust to block out the sun for at least 1 year. Plants would begin to die, and slowly there would be less and less food for what's left of humanity to eat. In the event the asteroid struck the ocean, it would create tidal waves that would completely submerge entire coastlines. The waves would be hundreds of feet high that would wipe out entire countries. It would be devastation potentially on a similar scale as the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs 65 million years ago. To be honest, this is the more likely scenario. Most of the Earth's surface is ocean, so the fact the asteroid that hit 65 million years ago hit the Yucatan Peninsula was a rare feat. It's safe to say life as we know it would be over. knowing what kind of devastation would be imminent in the event of an asteroid collision, do you need to start saying your prayers now? Should you go out and buy that jet ski you've had your eye on, because who cares at this point? Well, luckily, this is one disaster that 2020 won't end up bringing. The chances of this particular asteroid coming into contact with Earth are slim to none. At its closest approach to our planet, it will still be about 3.9 million miles away. That's over 16 times the average distance between the Earth and our moon. While that's far away enough to where it won't pose any kind of danger to us, it's still very close in astronomical terms. The only reason NASA has classified it as potentially hazardous is due to the criteria in place, which the asteroid fulfills. Under the criteria, an asteroid is potentially hazardous if it comes within 4.6 million miles of Earth's orbit. The only way the asteroid would hit Earth is if there have been massive miscalculations from NASA. But seeing as how that's extremely unlikely, we'll all be safe. After April 29th, we won't be done with the asteroid quite yet. It'll fly by Earth's orbit again on May 18th, 2031, but this time it will be 12 million miles away. It will have flybys again in 2048 and 2062. The next time it will get even kind of close to the planet will be on April 16th, 2079, when it will only be 1.1 million miles away from the Earth. When the news of this particular asteroid first broke, the story went viral, with people worrying about the possibility of this rock ending all life on the planet. However, those fears were likely based on people reading the headlines of the articles and not the articles themselves, because they all explained how the huge asteroid would be close in regards to other asteroids, but doesn't pose any threat at all. Asteroids come into Earth's atmosphere all the time. Most of them are small, so they break up before hitting the ground. For the few that do make it to the ground, they typically result in minimal damage. There really aren't any asteroids that pose a danger to significant life on Earth anytime soon, but that doesn't mean our planet is out of the clear entirely. It is a statistical certainty that the Earth will be hit with a massive asteroid again, similar to the one that took out the dinosaurs. Just take it from Mike Gernhardt, the principal investigator for NASA's Extreme Environment Mission Operations, who is quoted as saying, "One day the Earth will get hit by a large asteroid, whether that's in 50 years or in 100 million years. Luckily for all of us, there are several protections in place. For starters, the planet Jupiter acts as a kind of protector over our planet. Its strong gravitational pull brings some comets away from Earth, which end up colliding with the giant planet. Also, NASA and the European Space Agency are hard at work finding solutions for potentially hazardous space objects. Not only do these organizations consistently monitor the sky for anything that could pose a threat, but they're working on possible solutions to either reroute or destroy asteroids if one was ever on a collision course with Earth. Although there's no word yet on if any of those plans entail sending a team of drillers to plant explosives on the asteroid. Now that you know the asteroid coming on April 29th poses no threat to us, you may be curious as to whether you'll be able to see it. For starters, you'll need to be ready to wake up early. The asteroid will come into view at 5:56 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Additionally, you won't be able to see it with the naked eye. You'll need at least a 6-inch or 8-inch telescope to be able to see the asteroid moving in front of the stars in the sky. You'll also ideally want a 26 or 27 millimeter eyepiece, which is generally recommended for watching asteroids move in slow motion. After you wake up and have all the equipment you'll need, you'll want to point your telescope toward the constellation Hydra. At that point, you'll need to watch for the object moving for a period of about 10 to 15 minutes until it can no longer be seen. It is a lot of work, but for space enthusiasts, it's a unique opportunity. There will be more asteroids you'll be able to see with a telescope in the next few years. The asteroid Apophis will fly extremely close to Earth in 2029. If you can't wait that long, then you'll want to mark your calendar for June of 2024. That's when asteroid 415029 will come by. A massive asteroid tends to hit the Earth once every 50 to 100 million years. Considering the last one of this size came 65 million years ago, it's entirely possible another asteroid won't come by for several more million years. Who knows? By that time, there's a good chance something else will have come by to take us all out by then. For now, don't believe everything you read online. April 29th will come and go, and on April 30th, humanity will still...
Look at this shit. What the fuck? This is why they want us to stay in the house. This is why the fuck they want us to stay in the fucking house, nigga. It ain't the coronavirus, nigga. It ain't the radiation.
Hey guys, I'm driving. Apologize. This is stuff that just needs to get out. So the World Health Organization director, for the most crazy reason, like, you know, who the hell does this, comes out yesterday and says, hey, don't get too comfortable with what's going on, because next winter there's going to be a far worse scenario. We're going to have a much more brutal pandemic. So this is just the beginning. Who the hell says that? It's clear what's going on, guys. If you guys can't see it, I don't know what to tell you. This is not conspiratorial. We have a group of evil people that are trying to take over this world and force these vaccines down our throats, okay? If you can't see it, I don't know what to tell you. You are pie in the sky. You might as well stay at Disneyland. Honestly. This is real, guys. This was a test run to see how we'd handle it. Next time, it's real.
Damn government wants us to homeschool our kids. But hell, I was special ed my damn self. What the hell they want me to show them? How to bite people?
175,000 Clinton emails when they got Anthony Weiner's laptop in a search warrant because of all his sex perversion issues. It was all the Clinton emails, the Clinton Foundation, her Secretary of State emails, Huma Abedin's emails. Lots of people emailed Huma as a proxy for Hillary. So one of the things, if I were the president, I'd do is demand the Anthony Weiner laptop and get it to the most trusted person in the military to take apart everything on it and then start using it. There's a lot that can be prosecuted, I have no doubt, on that laptop. In fact, I heard that the New York police officers who saw some of it, even though they're hardened investigators, literally had to go throw up. It's bad.
Deep space, they're not sure what they are. It's only the second time in history they've heard these signals, and they're not ruling out aliens as the cause behind it.
So they're a bit of radio noise that goes right down the radio dial. It's like a slide whistle. If you could hear it, it would be like that, but in a tenth of a second or less, an eye blink. And we've found 60 of these things.
From the observations we have so far, it looks like it's a very elongated object, maybe about a quarter mile in length.
We think this object, 2017 U1, is very long, perhaps 400 meters or so long, and very narrow, skinny, perhaps maybe 40 meters or so in the other dimensions. That's a very unusual shape. We don't see that in our solar system. None of the asteroids in our solar system look like that. So it's very puzzling how it could have obtained this shape.
to the state of emergency in California, where the governor is asking the White House for help after the largest earthquake in Southern California in 20 years. Meanwhile, people on the ground there bracing for more aftershocks and the possibility of an even larger quake. ABC's Marcus Moore right there in Ridgecrest. Marcus, good morning to you.
California on edge overnight as residents try to recover from back-to-back violent earthquakes.
Get under the table, get under the table. Oh my God.
While still bracing for aftershocks.
I was screaming for my husband. It was pretty scary with all the water coming out.
The shaking so severe, watch this woman struggle to get up. Thousands evacuating in the wake of the 7.1 magnitude quake that rocked Southern California, leaving thousands without power and many homes in shambles.
We all, I think, have a unique role and responsibility to bear individually to be prepared for the next earthquake of magnitude even greater.
We're making sure that nothing is going to come down in the studio here.
And it is going for quite a bit, everybody. It continues.
This is a very strong earthquake.
Pretty strong here.
8:21 here on the air. We're experiencing very strong shaking.
Wow.
I think we need to get under the desk.
All right, we're going to go to break. We'll be right back after
We'll be right
this.
back.
Wow.
Giant sinkholes opened up in the Cayman Islands. The earthquake struck just after 2 this afternoon, causing panic in areas where the jolt was much stronger. So far, no reports of widespread damage or injury there either. But there is concern about aftershocks, especially after just hours later, a 6.1 struck the area.
Deadly tornado sweeping through one of those Super Tuesday states, Tennessee.
At least 2 tornadoes touched down, including one that caused heavy damage near downtown Nashville. We're learning that at least 7 people are now confirmed dead in the metro area. Emergency crews are dealing with about 40 collapsed buildings.
Oh my God.
The tornado filled the sky as it churned across Tennessee's state capital just before 1 a.m. Lightning and power surges were visible, leaving tens of thousands without electricity.
Wildlife officials in BC are trying to figure out why dozens of birds literally dropped from the sky dead. Witnesses say they'd never seen anything like it.
As you see on the road.
Look.
No, this is like something of a movie. This is crazy.
What will Storm Kira destroy in its path? People aren't waiting for answers here in Yorkshire. The flood sirens indicate a region ready for flooding, but that doesn't mean living through it gets easier.
The big wheel on Central Peak is rotating with the wind.
No one's braving the beach in Worthing. And in Holyhead, it's the cars that are swimming.
We're going to begin with this, the wildfires that are raging in California. They've now damaged or destroyed dozens of homes and other buildings. Punishing Santa Ana winds spread flames through subdivisions in Southern California.
The firefight in the canyons north of Los Angeles continued into the night as structures burned, forcing evacuations.
There are dozens and dozens of families on this block here.
In Northern California, the cause of the Kincade fire, which consumed more than 10,000 acres, is still unknown.
crazy. Absolutely crazy.
That's the fire. Literally at the mountain. We're just going. Okay, we're evacuating right now though. Look how close the fire is. It's literally right there. God. Oh, these people's house. No way.
What started out as an approximate 50-acre fire has now grown into 250 and growing. There's approximately 3,300 homes that are under mandatory evacuation. And we have approximately 500 firefighters from the ground and air battling those areas.
A SARS-like virus, which has infected hundreds in China, has now reached the United States. Airports around the world are stepping up health screenings on passengers arriving from Wuhan, China, the epicenter of the outbreak.
China is urging its citizens not to travel abroad as it struggles to contain the virus that has now killed more than 100 people. The total number of confirmed cases is now at more than 4,500.
France was the first country in Europe to confirm cases of coronavirus. Now it's the first to record a fatality linked to the outbreak.
The world spends billions of dollars preparing for a terrorist attack, but relatively little preparing for the attack of a virus.
الشمس.
Oh my goodness.
Mira aquella gente, o escucha, no tienen miedo.
Playa, mira. Allá está playa, mira, ¿qué es esto? Dios mío.
Lana, você filmou? Oh my god!
Tá arrastando todo mundo aí. Rápido, rápido. Llévenlo, rápido.
people have mentioned, these swarms look almost biblical.
Fruit bats in plague numbers have descended on a Queensland town, bringing unbearable smell, noise and mess, leaving residents at their wits' end. The situation's become even more serious after the problem prevented a helicopter carrying a patient from landing at the hospital.
It almost looks apocalyptic. Fruit bats in their hundreds of thousands, blanketing the evening sky. This is a day in the life of the residents of Ingham.
These extraordinary videos were taken by locals during a roosting season.
Unless you're here and seeing it, it is incredible. We shouldn't be living like this.
East Africa is facing its worst locust outbreak in 70 years, with Kenya hit particularly hard. Billions of locusts are swarming across the continent.
Among the more unsettling images of the week past, a literal plague of locusts, billions of them, ravaging Ethiopia, Kenya, and Somalia in East Africa. The locusts are devouring crops and threatening the food supply of millions.
Experts at the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization say the current invasion of desert locusts in eastern Africa is the worst in Ethiopia and Somalia in 25 years and the worst in Kenya in 70 years. The FAO estimates one of the swarms currently over Kenya covers an area of about 2,400 square kilometers and may contain as many as 200 billion locusts.
You can see in this video just how massive the locust swarms have been across the region.
These bugs have infested farmland and destroyed crops. Farmers are calling on the international community to help prevent a food crisis.
As a matter of fact, we are still having rains in Kenya, which is very unusual for this time of the year, and all of this creates these very favorable conditions.
Mr. Fillon, the situation has been going on for several weeks. We've mentioned it already several times here on Eye on Africa, even since November in some parts of the continent. Several countries have announced measures, including spraying chemicals, but it appears it's getting worse with this new report and these new figures released by the FAO. Why is that?
The United Nations says the region needs around $76 million to combat the crisis. Officials warn the locust outbreak will spread across the entire continent of Africa and into other parts of the world if action isn't taken.
This is a very rare phenomena, but once it does occur, it becomes extremely threatening to food securities, livelihoods, pastures, and of course, with pastures, if herders have to move animals into new areas, that this can be sources of conflict.
And just to give you a sense of how big these swarms are, one was spotted in a part of Kenya that contained about 200 billion of these creatures, and in the sky it occupied a space 3 times the size of New York City. And as the Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN has warned, they could increase 500-fold by June if not contained and checked immediately and spread elsewhere. Now, part of the problem is that these locusts are very difficult to track. They move very quickly, but they're not just a scary invasion. They also eat food. Even a small swarm of locusts can consume enough food for 35,000 people, and farmers are complaining that about 90% of their crops have already been destroyed. The locusts are now moving towards Uganda and towards South Sudan. South Sudan already under terrible, terrible strain from food insecurity. And if you consider that over 20 million people in East Africa are already facing food shortages due to periodic drought and flooding, you have a very serious problem when locusts start eating their only source of food. By April, it's too late because you've then already created this problem. If they get the money soon, then they can start the spraying, because the idea is to get the locusts while they're still young and hopping and before that population booms. It's very difficult to track them, but if you can have some kind of surveillance, you can then follow them, because these locusts can move about 90 miles in just one day. And climate experts are warning that there's going to be continuing unpredictable weather in the Horn of Africa. And so it's going to be very difficult to anticipate when these locusts may breed again and in such quantities.
The noise is deafening, the stench worse, but locals are powerless to get rid of them unless they break the law.
This is just like from a horror movie.
and it was like a bat tornado over the town. That's how bad it was.
It just seems to me that every bat in Australia is now in Ingham.
It's a town under siege, overrun by bats that outnumber the population by hundreds of thousands.
It just stinks. It stinks.
Infiltrating every corner of the town, putting lives at risk. It's mid-morning in Ingham in North Queensland, and in the centre of the normally quiet town, there's a cacophony of screeches.
The problem that we're having is that we're seemingly being influxed by more and more animals, and the roost cannot handle it.
The botanical gardens are overrun with bats. Every inch of every branch is covered with them. Mayor Raymond Jayo says they've now reached biblical plague proportions.
It's a nightmare. It is a nightmare. It's truly disgusting.
Some of the trees are so full of bats, they're constantly breaking from the sheer weight of them. The bus stop, footpaths, even the town's cenotaph are covered in bat feces. But at night, it's far worse.
This is what locals here have to put up with every day. There's hundreds of thousands of bats flying around. The noise is horrendous and the smell is putrid and lingers long after the bats have flown away for the evening. This can last up to an hour and is repeated every morning when they return.
If you'd come up here and had a look and had to try to live in this area, it would drive you insane.
As the colony grows, so do concerns for local welfare. The bats have recently moved into trees at the local kindergarten and primary school.
Well, Indiana State Insect is known for giving off bright flashes of light, creating some dazzling displays at night, but the light of fireflies could soon be going out as that insect faces extinction. Scientists say the loss of natural habitat, pesticides, and artificial lighting all play a role. Many fireflies rely on chemical reactions in their bodies to draw them to light and allow them to find mates. Light pollution messes with that cycle. Scientists say their goal is to make land managers and policymakers aware of the threat to keep fireflies around longer.
These are all dead birds. All these are birds, dead birds. One of them just flew away. Instead of watching them fly in the sky, some people living in this Lee County community of Mount Lachey Isles say these dead birds are showing up on their lawns and streets. 4 in Your Corner's Rachel Lloyd is looking into neighbors' concerns about these birds tonight. Rachel?
Now, this is just one remaining bird from a cluster of dead birds people found this morning. It's unclear who or what removed the others, but people living here just want to know how they wound up dead in the first place. You can tell by all the bird sculptures that Mount Lachey Isles a pretty animal-friendly place. But Ron says it's been a tough weekend walking his dog, Groot. He keeps getting distracted, and he's not the only one.
Well, when I was walking on the next street over, I just looked down and there's this dead bird just laying on the side of the road.
We had 3 on another street, Boatshell, and Mount Lachey, we had about 4.
Beatrice Dorino says she's counted up to 20 dead grackles since Friday.
It's unusual because it's only here.
For the most part, there's no signs of blood or bruising, except for one case.
Yesterday morning, there was one that was slightly alive, and a woman tried to get it, and it did fly away, but she saw a puncture wound, so we don't know if it was attacked by something or if it was shot.
And Frances Martorella has a few ideas of her own.
I thought maybe somebody's poisoning them, or they've got a disease or something that's killing them.
Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission says they're looking into the issue, and until they get to the bottom of it, Martorella is taking matters into her own hands.
Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths.
but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. And do not grieve the Holy Spirit of God, with whom you were sealed for the day of redemption. Get rid of all bitterness, rage, and anger, brawling and slander, along with every form of malice. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other just as in Christ God forgave you.